in a city, certainly here in the city of Yonkers, where you have one guidance counselor sometimes for two public schools, of maybe 2,500 students, there is no way that individual students can get the attention that they need. So we have college and career centers that we have in our facilities that help students prepare for college, and then every child is not going to college, but then to career, prepare for a meaningful career. We think that that's important. I don't believe in forcing a child to go to college. You can become a civil servant and be very successful and ultimately run an entire department or become a commissioner just being a civil servant.
Right.
So, but I do believe that you have to have a foundational education of a solid, high school diploma. So we provide as much support as we can through our Gateway Academy. The one thing I'm most proud of is recently, because of the issue we're talking about, is we started our boys academy with all male instructors. Now it's the first in this. I mean, I know, Frank, you've done similar things at White Plains, for a while. Here in Yonkers, it's the first that we've done. And even with that, we've had our backlash because, there's been that outcry for men to get involved and to become actively involved in the children's lives. So we've created a venue to do that, for several hundred males. And we're not talking middle and high school, we're talking elementary school. Because we believe, as you, Frank, if you don't get them at a young enough age, it's going to be too late. Because the lure of the street is too powerful and it's too seductive.
Let me say something about that too, because I think that children want to have discipline and direction. Children want to be safe. And oftentimes young people join these unhealthy groups is because they don't have safety. One of the things in White Plains and all over our country is the efforts involved with communities to provide safety in our neighborhoods. And in White Plains, with our White Plains Cares Coalition, we're looking at neighborhoods and making sure that our neighborhoods are healthy and safe and free of drugs and free of alcohol and free of smoking. Because if we can rid our communities from these ills that affect our community, we can reduce the risk factors that our young people face in terms of drugs and alcohol and smoking. Our coalition is now working with the White Plains Housing Authority to remove smoking out of public housing. Parks and playgrounds in White Plains now, you can't smoke. You can't just bring those things in there. So if we can remove some of these unhealthy things in our community, our children can walk from home to school and from school to home feeling safe. And we can just remove some of those challenges that our kids face in our neighborhoods with the kinds of things that we see throughout our nation and communities.
I want to get back to something you said too, Jim, about your Boys Academy and talking about the backlash that you receive sometimes. There are those who believe that single-sex instruction somehow is discriminatory or deleterious and things like that. And there have been, we have resources in the community that is untapped. We need to get people to know that LeBron James is not a hero, okay? Not for kids in Yonkers. The brother who's hanging on the back of a garbage truck, getting up, going to work every day and taking care of his family, that's a hero. The person that's coming out in the streets and making sure the young people is all right, that's a hero. We have this, we've been hoodwinked into believing that there is no heroes in our community. The person who gets up and go and do the right thing every day, those are our heroes. Unfortunately, some laws have been passed where brothers who have been in trouble are no longer able to come back in their community and become a part of their community to help people like us tell young men, hey, young brother, here's what I did wrong. Listen to me. You understand what I'm saying? In many cases, they're not allowed to be mentors.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And at a time when we more than ever need mentors that look like us.
Sure.
Many times the hurts of mothers, because the male hurt the mother or they couldn't get along and she want to hurt him, she don't allow that young man to be in her son's life. because she thinks she's punishing him, when in actuality she's cutting her son off from a possible resource, you know, somebody he loves very much or could learn to love very much and guide him. Because I don't care who you are. You can be the biggest thug in the world, the most righteous brother in the world. You have a son, you love that young man unconditionally. You love him unconditionally. And you always want him to do better than you. You always want him to do better than you. And you're going to guide him, and hopefully with the guidance of somebody else, because, you know, you never grow too old for a mentor. That's the good thing about being around you and Frank. You guys are older than me, and y'all continue to mentor me.
Yeah, right.
But we never grow. Jim, you know you got mentors right now. Frank, you got a mentor, someone you could go to. That mentoring do not get old. So I think in our community, we need to realize that we do have resources, not just money, but human and social resources that can, like you said, it's not all gloom and doom, that if we tap into that, we can help make the difference.
You're right, Bill. And I think, first of all, I think the whole notion about it being sexist or discriminatory is so hypocritical.
Yeah.
And here's why it's hypocritical. Since the beginning of time, men have been coaching boys on the athletic field. There's been no women there. And you were an athlete, Bill. I mean, Frank, I'm not sure.
I played baseball, yeah.
Okay, so you was one as well. And you know, right now, I can tell you exactly many of the things that my high school coach put into me as an athlete. That was some 40 years ago. It stayed in my mind, and it helped to shape me and to become the man that I am. My high school coach, my college coach, my professional basketball coach, these are people who weren't just coaches between the lines. They taught us life lessons and how to be men, what it meant to be a responsible young man. That was invaluable to me. As much as I loved my mother and I loved the ground she walked on, you know, some of those lessons, my mother nurtured me and prepared me in a lot of ways for self-sufficiency, to be able to cook and to clean and to do these things. But the stuff that those men put inside me is what made me a man.
Well, but Jim, and that's the challenge we're saying, because the community that you and I, Bill, grew up in, that community is no longer there. No. It doesn't exist. Right. And that's why we need the African American men of Westchester and the Westchester Clubman Foundation, those members, and the Elks and the Masons and the Alphas and the Omegas and the preachers and deacons. We need them to invest in our children from birth, really from birth, and to give them the tools and the care and compassion, and also the visibility and exposure, right? Because they're in our community,
Recognition.
But for many times, our men have bailed out of our community. And if we're going to get through this hurdle that we're facing, it's because we're going to be accountable and responsible for going back into our community, for teaching, for coaching, for mentoring, for helping these young people so they can have a future.
Well, I want to do this because we're winding down our time here today, and let me just say, man, I appreciate you guys, and I mean that sincerely.
I want to say, Jim, it can be done. It can be done. Our children are depending on us to change, to save their lives. And if they're going to have a future, it's going to be the Jim Boxes, the Bill Carters, and the other members in our community to help our children see that they can be more than just basketball and football players.
And we have to walk the walk.
Yeah.
We can talk all we want to, but we have to walk the walk. If somebody came into our community and we allowed them to do to our children what our children are doing to themselves, we would be up in arms. And if unfortunately we've had some shootings in the black communities where young men been killed by police officers and things like that, and we get upset, we get crazy mad, we march, we protest. But when another young black man shoots another young black male, where are we?
There's the outrage.
That's me.
Yeah.
Right. Where's the outrage?
Yeah.
Why isn't that, because
Well, I think
95% of young black males who die from being
each
killed
other.
by
It's us.
each other.
And we're gonna conclude on that note. And you're right. And I think that we need, as you said, more Frank Williams, more Bill Carters, persons who commit themselves to the welfare and the well-being of our children, not your biological child,
Yes.
but your neighbor's child,
Right.
the child down the street,
Right.
the child down the block. I think as we've heard here this evening, this is not an insurmountable obstacle. I think that it's tragic, and we're at a point now that if we don't jump in now and do something as a community, you know, we could very well lose several new generations of young people. But I want to solicit to our pastors, I want to solicit to our elected officials that they need to begin, if they're not already doing it, to make our children their priority. As Frank said, put your money where your mouth is. Let's not deprioritize children, but let's prioritize them so that our finances and our funding is available so that we can continue to provide the kind of programs and services that we need. Again, my name is Dr. Jim Bostic. I am the host of this weekly talk show, Voices of the Family. God bless you.